Am I clipping?
Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. Fucking, I know it.
That's crazy.
And I know it. Okay, so let's just jump right in. So I found you through Instagram organically. And I know for a lot of artists, like myself included, churning out content all the time is pretty soul sucking and embarrassing. But I just want you to know it's at least the reason that I was able to genuinely connect with your music, meet you, find you, invite you here. So let's just like acknowledge that. Let's just acknowledge that the content machine did bring us here.
Thank
And
you,
it
Instagram algorithm.
yeah, and it brought me your music at a time that I really needed it. Which is cool. I'm able to say that like as I said earlier, I know the words to all the songs that you sang tonight, right? Which is kind of like where I'm going with this. Do you think, as an artist, are you still at the point where you feel small enough that you know all your fans personally, or like are you in the headspace where you're still surprised anyone is listening at all?
Oh, I think it's a mix of both because I definitely know, like, I recognize the same few people when they join, like, the lives or when they comment or when they reach out. Like, I feel like it's been an honor, like, getting to know, like, a handful of people personally, but it also is at the same time kind of bizarre to imagine, like, when I open up, like, like, I don't know, some app, it's like, oh, this many people are listening to you right now, and it's just like, I keep on thinking, like, the idea that people are making memories to my music is still bizarre, but
Yeah.
it's really like an honor.
Yeah. No, I mean I can genuinely say like I've cried in the car to your music like hours, because it found me at a
Wow.
time where I really needed it. And then anyone who sat in the car, I'd be like, listen to this song, and when you're binging a song and you make everyone listen to it, and you're like, whatever you want to listen to, we have to listen to this first.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
As of today, Spotify says you have 62,681 monthly listeners. Did you know that? Do you stay up on your stats like that?
I do, because I just put an EP out, so I've been
Okay.
like trying to like, and also I've been trying like we were talking about the content thing and how that's the piece of it right now, and I think that I just got to a place this year where I kind of have accepted the fact that it's part of what I'm doing and it's part of the job right now. I think, somebody said to me, if it was like the 60s or whatever, you'd have to put up flyers or something. Or there was always going to be something that you had
Yeah.
to do. And to, to pretend that it's always been just about, oh, you just have to be in the studio, just have to make the song. Like I don't think it's ever truly been just about the music.
What's
But
interesting too is if it was the 60s, you might not actually even understand the levels of success you were reaching until you got to a stadium and
that's
saw
mind blowing. Yeah.
100,000 people in the crowd. Or of
That
course
must have been
people
the
would be
craziest
telling you,
feeling.
dude, your record's selling out.
Or you
Radio
start
won't
getting like
stop.
recognized or
Like,
something. Yeah.
yeah, of course people will tell you. Maybe back then your manager would be like, bro, your record's going platinum, sure. And that kind of means something. But then when you stand there
Wow.
and you're like, oh, this is 100,000 people.
Do you know that song that's like Video Killed the Radio Star?
Yeah, of course.
Oh my God. Okay, my dad showed me that song when I was really young, and I've been thinking about that a lot lately. Just the past month, I've been thinking about that song and just how like before music videos, before you even knew what these people looked like that's a bizarre concept. Just being a voice. I mean, maybe then it was truly just about the music. I think that it hasn't been like that for a long time, but I think that there's also a way for people to. It's like empowering in a way too, where it's like you get to kind of control. You get to build the ship and the vessel that your music gets delivered in. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's like
Part of me thinks that because your mom is here, she's probably laughing in the corner about what we think the 60s and 70s and 80s were like. Like, she's probably like...
we'll just cut this all out.
Yeah. So, like, building off of that, for me, 62,000 a month, that sounds pretty good, right? Like, for me, when I hear that, I think, oh, like, this dude's popping off. He's probably about to hit it big. On the flip side of that, though, does it actually feel like that, or do most days still feel like you're struggling to be heard?
Hmm. That's a really. I feel like what I try to focus on the most is just, am I the person that I want to be? Am I the best version of myself? Can I, like, how can I further improve the music? Am I making the best music I can? I think that I think there's like levels to it. I believe that when like we were talking earlier about like, when you get to a certain level and you just show up and you just do the song because you just have like the team around you, and you also like, it's just there's a lot of moving parts to it.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember when I first moved to LA, one of like this person said to me, it's just like having that moment is a result of a lot of engines happening is a lot of engines being on at the same time. And so it's like there's a lot of different aspects. It's like the vocal, and it's about like, practicing your instrument, whether that's your vocal or whether that's the guitar or the piano or like something else. Um, and I think that when I was talking to my friend, this is like kind of, I'm gonna come back to this. This is like a long-winded, sorry. My friend and I were talking about when we first met back in 2022. I had this like confidence. Like I had this like blind confidence when I moved to LA. I was like graduated high school early. It was like COVID, so I was just like doing all these classes to get out of my hometown, Ithaca, New York. And I was like, "Mom, Dad, I'm gonna go
Get out of my hometown, shout out Ithaca, New York.
plug 6 and 7." So I said, "Mom, Dad, I'm going to LA, and I'm going to pursue this. I'm gonna give it a real shot because I don't see myself doing anything else." And I had this blind confidence that it was just gonna work, right? And I think that I read this thing. It was like the more you know about something, the more you realize you don't know anything about it. And that's kind of how it's been for me the last few years, where the more I've gotten to know, really like meet artists and meet people that are like minded and meet people that work in different fields professionally, I realize it's like it's both so close, and it's like convincingly it's, oh, it's so close, but it's also so far. It's vast. Like I was talking about like the vastness of it. So I think that in a lot of ways I'm grateful that I've had the time to be able to build this catalog in secret or in private, more or less,
Mm-hmm.
because I've been able to do it authentically. And I can't imagine if I was actually, moved out and there was like all these people watching, and they were like, we think he's gonna do this next and he's gonna do this next, then it would have influenced what I would have made. And so I'm grateful that, whether more people listen to it ever or not, like I'm doing it for me in a way that maybe I wouldn't have if, at 15 years old I was like being put on. It just like I feel like it's allowed me to.
So that's funny because like I have to remind myself a lot that numbers don't actually mean shit. Like so there are many of my good close friends who I also organically found off Instagram, and they're legitimate influencers, like these people have intimidating social followings. And in the beginning, I didn't think that we were actually gonna. And like now, these are people who like fart on my couch. You know what I mean? And like I go to their house, and like I know their families, and we eat off each other's plates, and like and it but it you just perceive it sounds so simple, right? Social media isn't everything, and then you're still the disconnect happens, especially as we grow this platform and we grow Seawall, and like we've grown a lot. When we brought this back like 2 years ago now, we had 50 subscribers on YouTube. For a while, it's almost like embarrassing in a sense. You're like, are we making this for anyone? Is anyone even watching? Is anyone even listening?
Yeah, and like you're thinking, oh, does it make me like less like legitimate? If it's so like, but I think about that too all the time, and I have to do the same. I have to remind myself the same thing, that numbers don't matter, and it's not. But it's difficult because especially when you're like you see like people getting, more money from labels if they have a certain amount of followers, or if they're
Mm-hmm.
having like if they're currently trending, or if they're having a moment online, then it's like leverage for like money and like financial support, which
Yeah.
I think is like super destructive to the art itself and also artists' mental health. I think that it puts you in a state of constantly chasing, which isn't gonna make good music. Like, you want to make good music from a place of, you know, belief in yourself and not belief in like an
Yeah.
algorithm or belief in like, and especially because I think about the people that inspire me, the people that I think that are, you know, breaking boundaries and like groundbreaking artists. They've never like subscribed to a system. And so now in 2025, like, it's hard to apply. People say, "Oh, well, that artist wouldn't be doing this, nowadays if they were like." But I think there's no way to truly know that. But that's kind of what my work is right now, is just like deciphering. It's like, how do I do it authentically, and how do I use these tools and not allow the tools to use me, if that makes sense.
Are you good at being chronically online?
No.
Like, no, me neither.
No, but there's people that are chronically online, and I'm jealous because I'm like, you really understand like that meme or like that viral like thing, and I'm like, I just don't. I was
Yeah.
never like an internet kid. Like, my parents didn't give me a phone until I was like in ninth grade,
Hell yeah,
and then I
mom.
was like,
I mean, I think like, yeah, I think of how much further along we would be as a platform, as a channel, whatever, if either Michael or myself were chronically online. But we don't. But we can. But we have too much to do. So like, I want to pivot real quick. As you mentioned, you moved out to LA, but you grew up in Ithaca. I love Ithaca. We've talked about that a bit, and it always brings out something special in me. Like, I wish I could have grown up there. In fact, like, I've looked at houses there many
wow.
times, right? What does it do to you creatively when you go back home? Is it inspiring or is it isolating? Like, do you feel like you can unplug, or do you feel like you're back in a different version of yourself?
Oh, that's so well said. Yeah,
Too
I
many
definitely
questions
feel
at
like,
once.
no. I mean, I love that because I think about that a lot. I go back home sometimes and I feel like I'm 18 again,
Mm-hmm.
and it's interesting because I've always had such a love hate relationship, like as anybody does, I think, with their hometown, where they're like, I felt from a young age, like, you just know it so intimately in a way where people can be like, same thing with LA, where I talk to people that are like born and raised in LA, and I'm like, oh, I love what the city has to offer. And they're like, dude, I got to get out of here. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like Ithaca, it gave me these priceless things, though. Like, Ithaca gave me community, and Ithaca gave me a love for music. Both of my parents being musicians, like, music growing up was community, and music was the time that I got to spend with my community and like my parents. Like, it would be like, I'd grow up backstage, my mom would be, playing a gig, and like my grandma would be holding me for the whole set. And then I would be like 6 years old running around, and my dad would be at like, rehearsing with his band in like the living room, and I'd be like playing like the drums or whatever with like, or I'd play I'd play the keyboard with drumsticks, and I ended up breaking like a bunch of the keys. But like, it was just growing up in that environment where there was such a freedom, and like, there is no wrong way to do it. Just going for it, that really shaped me. And so I'll always like love my upbringing for it. And Ithaca's gorgeous. Like, Ithaca's the most beautiful place I've ever seen. Like, I just like cliff jumping and like
Yeah, take that,
swimming in,
Barbados.
yeah. Yeah. Travel advisor,
It's
number one. Yeah,
visitithaca.com.
right. I'm just I'm a secret agent for like
Yeah,
tourists.
you're a plug. But no, I mean, because I get it, because I grew up here in Brooklyn.
Yeah. But see,
Oh,
I'm like, I wish.
redact that. But I grew up here in Brooklyn. And I have always yearned for fucking trees, for grass.
The grass is always
for
greener.
greenery.
The grass is always greener
for
because I'm
literal
like,
green.
there's so much access. I think I'm like, for like a kid growing up in the city, I was literally getting off at Grand Central Station today. I was like, man, if I was like 8 years old, 11 years old, running around here, like, I just feel like you could have like met that person. And it's like, I don't know, that doesn't happen in Ithaca as much.
And so for me, though, anytime I go to a place like Ithaca, my inspiration is off the charts. For me to find inspiration, like I've done, like anytime I need to go on like a soul searching trip, I go to like the Highlands of Scotland. I
Oh, I
go
love
to
that.
Iceland, and I'm like, don't call me. Like, I need to go to the most rural area possible. I need to get anti New York.
Okay, yeah.
And so for me, places like Ithaca, like my creativity flows. So it's very interesting to hear. Like, for me, Los Angeles is the loneliest city in the world. I would never.
It can be very
I would never
lonely,
move to
yeah,
LA.
for sure,
I would
yeah.
cry every day. And so it's interesting for me to hear like your perspective on like where your creativity actually works best, or if it's just different shapes, if it's
Yeah,
like,
it's different songs in different cities and
yeah.
different experiences and different chapters of my life. Like I think that the music kind of like I don't feel like I write any of the songs. I feel like they come to me when they're ready to be said, if that makes sense. So I don't I don't ever have like a release plan, which is
Mm-hmm.
like kind of run and gun and DIY and like eventually like that won't be the case when I'm able to like, just be in the studio literally like all day,
Mm-hmm.
and with like have like, oh, call that pedal steel player, call that drummer and just be like, come for 8 hours and like never leave. But like I right now it's a lot more like I go through experiences and I never anticipate what I'm going to create until it's done. So sometimes I'll be working on a verse for like 3 months and then sometimes I'll sit down and I'll write an entire song in 20 minutes. But I feel like Garden, for example, came to me in Miami and I was just that was one of my first times ever getting like flown out to work. And so I was feeling
Mm.
like I was like, wow, I'm really like doing this, and like I sat down and I like wrote Garden. And then like Kids Again came like, going like it was like the end of a relationship and it was the beginning of like a new chapter in LA.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, that song is about being kind of having like the rest of your life ahead of you and realizing that you're already experiencing your firsts and being like, wow, life is happening right now. I'm always planning for this and I'm gonna be this when I'm that and I can't wait till this happens, but it's happening in the present moment and that's so important to like remind yourself. I just feel like I can get so ahead of myself.
How old were you when you first started playing? Like really playing, like not smashing keyboards
Uh,
on.
yeah, it kind of evolved into it. I think
Right.
like
It
slowly I was
doesn't
like, oh,
start one
this is a
day.
cool note. I don't know. I mean, I started doing piano lessons. I started taking piano lessons probably in middle school. Um, and I couldn't focus. Like my piano teacher, like he's the best, but he was like, he'd be like, dude, like you didn't do your homework. I know you didn't, like, because I just didn't have
He
my
was like, "Here's a number for an ADHD doctor. I want you to call."
yeah. But I saw him using Ableton and I was like, can you teach me how to use Ableton instead? And that is how it transitioned. But I started really like writing and releasing music when I was 14 or 15, like probably when I just turned
Hmm.
15. So it was like 2018 or something like that. And I started by making beats for all my friends, and I was just,
So I'm where I was curious was like, how old were you when you started? Because did your parents try to teach you to express yourself through music, or did that just organically happen?
organic. I think it's just the way that they speak. Like my mom and my dad, they just speak through music. And my sister grew up in a band. Like, she was in a band growing up and everybody in my family is just very um like
Partridge Family.
it's like a family band. Yeah. I mean, I think
You guys should do a Christmas album as
oh
like a family unit
my
Christmas
mom would
album.
love that. She loves the Casey Musgraves Christmas album. That
Hell
that's coming
yeah.
on every
Hell yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I would say it organically happened. They honestly, my dad specifically was like, "Are you sure that you want to go into this?" Because just doing music his whole life, it's like it's making the arts sustainable, like making a career in the arts sustainable for a life, like financially and like soul wise, is tough.
I wouldn't know anything about that.
He was like, "Are you sure you want to do this?" And he was really worried about me. I think my mom was really worried about me too when I said I want to move to LA. They did not immediately.
Mm.
They weren't with that. But my mom was like, "If this is what you want to do, like you should do it." But I think they were both really worried, and I I understand that. I mean, like, and I went through a lot of phases. I was wanted to be like a screenwriter, and I wanted to be. I was like a theater kid. I wanted to be like on Broadway. Like, I just like thinking about all these
You could
things.
have been. I'm seeing it. You could have been. Yeah. You still can. I mean,
Pivot after this. This
it's
is the last
never
thing I
too
ever do.
late to
Is
try. So aside from the creative influences of your parents, are they helpful in the music business side of things? Like, are
yeah,
there things that like, the second you're like, I'm a musician, they were like, here's a contract, read it. Like,
yeah. My dad signed me my first 360 deal. he
hell
was
yeah.
like, he was like, I own all of it. No, I'm joking. Yeah. So I think the business has changed a lot.
Mm,
I think since they were like really like touring and and I think one thing that I really admire about my mom and my dad and their careers is that they toured a lot and they did a lot of shows because it was from a time where it was like CDs and like you're like doing shows, you know what I mean? And you're like
Not
touring
the intonation on CDs.
CDs. Final.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean like it's just like I love that because right now it like sometimes it does feel like it's like, oh yeah, doing a show. You're like, I could do that, you know, because it's like so much about like releasing and like promoting stuff and you know, but it's like right now, like I feel like that's in the coming year something that I really want to focus more just for myself is just getting out there and just doing more gigs and singing even more and playing my guitar even more.
Yeah.
But um
Well, so
yeah,
this was your first live session.
ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was it like for you? What was the process like for you?
Oh,
You're
so
getting out
much
there,
fun.
dude.
You guys rock. It was so much fun. I mean, I'm honored. It's like one of those things, like you said, it's bizarre that you heard my music separately when we got on the call and you were like, dude, I heard Kids Again. And I like, that's mind blowing to me. But I'm grateful to be here. And the fact that, you know, I'm in, like, I got to come down basically for the day and just be in New York and sing these songs. And with my mom, it was super special because um, she's been such a integral big piece of it.
Big,
we'll admit that.
big
We'll
ol' piece.
we'll AI the rest of it. We'll
Big
be
ol'
like he
piece.
pronounced that right.
What was your leading emotion today? Like, were you nervous? Were you excited? What was at the forefront?
Excited, for sure, for sure. I always try to like turn nervousness into excitement. I feel like they're pretty adjacent, and I try to.
That's good. I go to panic immediately.
I got a fortune cookie the other day. I opened it up and it said, "Don't panic."
Fuck.
I was like, "This is. I'm gonna panic." I mean, this is really.
The cookie was for me.
Should have forwarded it to you.
Did you do anything special to prepare for today, or were you like, are you the type who just wings it? I've got to be honest. You don't seem like the wing it guy at all, based on our
Really?
session.
I kind of see. I would say that I winged it, but probably everybody around me would be like, "You did not wing this. Like you prepared for it." I don't know, but I'm. It's. I mean, you know.
Like obviously, you two workshop some harmonies.
Yeah, and she's always like, my mom calls me and she's like, "I got a harmony for Raven." Like she's like on the phone. She's like, "Wait," like she's like, "I'll sing it," and like,
Nice.
that's super fun. I mean, we ran it a few times. I'm staying at my grandma's right now, in the Hudson Valley, and so I'm getting some time in with her. I'm seeing my cousin. I'm seeing my aunt, and
Does she have a guest room?
yeah.
All right, there's room for us too.
Yeah, you guys can stay over. I think I'm like, oh,
Nice.
I'm sleeping on the kitchen table actually. Yeah.
Whenever someone's like, I have insert someone's house in Hudson Valley, I'm like, they got room.
Yeah.
Because Airbnbs out there are crazy. Do you watch any live music series like you know?
Honestly,
other than us?
don't.
No, I was gonna say like, are there any that you're a fan of? But
yeah, I'm. This is an example of me being like not chronically online.
Hell
It's like I'm
yeah.
always like, it's like I wish that it's like the same thing with like seeing like live. Everybody's always like, have you seen that? Recorded concert from 1994. Like, and I'm like, I should have it. I wish that but that's another thing is I'll study up, and next time that I come here, I'll be able to know. I'll be like,
no, that's great. I was just gonna be curious about like, who, if you did watch a lot of live series, like if there are any influences that you were like, oh, I want to bring this into,
yeah,
into my performance at
Well,
all.
I would say in the future, I would love to like do it with like a band. I would love to do like a full band thing, and I would love to.
Yeah, it's tough because I caught you on holiday break.
Well, yeah, and I don't
Yeah.
really know any. I'm still like actually like coming back to the Ithaca thing. When I go back now, I don't see anybody that I know. It's a totally different because either people went to college or they moved somewhere else, and so when I visit, it's never the people that I kind of expect to see. It's always like, oh yeah, it's good to see you. Like, how's life? And I'm starting to reconnect with a lot of like older friends and a lot of new people in my hometown that play instruments. And now like they're like, oh, we should jam and we should get together. So I'm looking forward to it. Maybe next time I'll be able to just take a Sprinter van down.
So I gotta know, what is the meaning behind "Gave Me a Gun"? Because I love the song so much. I put a ton of people onto it.
Yeah.
I love that song. For me, it's like, I mean, I'll tell you my thoughts after, but I want to know, what is that
Is
song?
it as political as it sounds?
No, I don't think it's political at all, but unless I'm wrong.
No, it's
but
not.
yeah, what is the
At
meaning?
least not intentionally. If you interpret it that way, then
No.
Um, that one is about jumping into something, and that moment that you realize, oh, maybe I jumped in too quick.
You moving to LA.
Yeah, I think that to me is like that's like the not cold feet, but it's like that moment where you're like, oh, I wasn't fully healed, or I wasn't fully ready to, because I think that there's always an excitement when you meet somebody that makes you feel alive, or when you meet somebody that's like, oh my, I've been waiting for you, or like you understand me at a deeper level than other people. And
that always lasts 3 weeks, and then it goes back to.
And that's the period of time that the song's about. Yeah.
It's the first 3 weeks when you meet someone. Fuck yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. It's like butterflies. To me, that song is like butterflies.
All right, yeah. So I was on the right track.
Really?
I was on the right track.
Well,
for me,
I'm curious.
For me, I mean, it essentially sounded like the second you met this person, like their name, that was the over for you. Like you learned their name, it was over. You're like a slave.
It's like you gave me like your name is like a weapon of mass destruction.
Yes.
In my
100%
heart and in my life, and now it's like hearing your name is like will never sound the same. It'll always have a different ring to it. When I hear your name, it'll always be like, oh, that just hit me a little bit different than like a regular. You know what I mean? So it's like, I wish I didn't learn your name like that, but like I did. So,
so shit. So you produce all your own stuff.
Yeah.
I really love the way you blend environmental noises and ambiance into a lot of your songs. There's a lot of work to make each piece sound like it exists in like a whole soundscape. It's very big.
Thank you.
And I'd love to go, what goes through your head when you're producing? Like, do you know from the very beginning you want birds or wind chimes or something else in the song? Or are you listening back at the very end and you're like, oh, I don't know, like something's missing. Like, I think of, for example, the bird whistles in No Good Goodbyes, right? Like, they're hidden. They're in there. But, like, are you almost at the end and then you're like, this needs a bird whistle? Like, what? Or from the very beginning, does it start with a soundscape?
Yeah.
And go from there?
I think it kind of builds, it's like layers get added throughout the process. I never really know. I think there's like a song to me has a few distinct chapters. It's the initial idea, at least for my process, like it's the initial idea that I have, and I write a lyric or like a phrase on a piece of paper, or I'm at the guitar and I'm humming and I sing a melody and I'm like, oh, that's really special. And I go in and let's say I record it if I'm really feeling like super inspired, and I sit down and I record it and I put the vocal down, then it's on my computer, or it's like I'm hearing it back, in the room. And at that point, then I'm arranging it out, and then I'm building like, okay, well then there's got to be, I feel like I want to go back to this verse, or like, oh, now I'm kind of craving like a different chord progression, or there needs to be like a third section, or now it needs to get small, or now it needs to get big. And a lot of it is just happy accidents. Like I kind of mess it like I said, I feel like a vessel, and I don't feel like I'm writing it or doing it. I feel like it's kind of coming through me. So I kind of let that feeling, that inspiration, or that joy, or that sadness, or whatever the driving feeling behind the song is, I let that take over, and then I'll it'll like execute it for me, and then 8 hours later, then it's just, I'm looking at an entire song. And then once I play that song back, at this point it's like 3 a.m. or something.
I know. When I first spoke to you on your phone, you were like, oh, I'm just in the studio. I haven't slept in
like 3
days.
I'd taken like 2 days of just like
locked in. Locked in.
So I'll listen to it, and then I'll be like, okay, then I'll start really like fucking it up. I'll start really like messing with shit, and I'll like sample this, or I'll like totally like, cut like the quality of something in half, and I'll just make it sound like really like warped, and that's usually how that final layer gets added. Like the bird sounds, or like I'm just like, you know what, like I'll have like a really clean take of something, and I'll just throw on like
you just go, fuck this.
I'm like, I don't like it, and I'll just put like a waterfall noise. I'll be like,
I also think about the way you stack vocals. You're like a male Stacchiana in my opinion, but in
What?
songs like it's like in songs like Love Me Still, for example, in the background there are very subtle vocals that sound almost like an a cappella group from like the 50s or 60s. Whose vocals were those?
Those were just, mine built out. I mean, at the time, like
That's crazy.
you know,
You sounded like a barbershop quartet.
really,
Yeah.
that's kind of what I was going for. Honestly, I was going for like because my dad raised me on Motown. Like I remember going to Detroit when my sister she lived in Detroit. She's in Barcelona now, but growing up,
It's Barcelona. You
sorry,
gotta say it right.
Barcelona.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. And we went to Detroit. It was like a family trip, and he was like, "We have to go to the Motown Museum." Like he's a history guy, and so he kind of like I grew up on like Berry Gordy, like very much so. Like he was just playing and Willie Nelson and like Johnny Cash, and like my dad's just got this eclectic taste, and my mom. It's like it's also melded. It's like my dad raised me on a lot of like Jamaican reggae, and then my mom would play like the Sundays, and like it was just like such a melding pot. Which another reason I'm so grateful for like
Yeah.
musician parents in Ithaca, New York, and just like that. Shout out
Visit
again.
Ithaca.com.
Yeah, and then we went, and it's just like always been in my mind. I've always been like, I want to do that. Like, oh, you know what the inspiration behind Love Me Still was you can blame me. Try to, anyone who knows what love is will understand. I'm blanking on the artist. Such a good song, iconic song. But that's kind of anyone. Bum 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 bum. Anyone.
I know.
It's just like
I know that one.
So that was like when I heard "Love Me Still," and that's kind of what happens to me too.
And that's what I thought of. It was very like 50s, 60s, like reminiscent.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm
Yeah.
glad that it came across because I just have such a huge respect and like admiration for that whole level. And it's like the fact that like the recording process when you listen to that stuff or like Pink Floyd, it's like wow, it's like how did you do this on like analog? It's like you didn't
Yeah.
punch in. There's no
I mean,
like
now you've got 10,000 plugins.
Right.
I don't know.
And sometimes it's like that amount of options is honestly
Yes, I cut you off immediately. As I was thinking this, you started saying the words.
yeah.
One of the videos we did was with our friend Ricky,
Uh-huh.
and he interviewed one of the like iconic producers for Rage Against the Machine.
Oh well.
Garth, what's his name, Michael? Garth Richardson. And the challenge that he gave to Ricky was like, you have to recreate Bomb Track. You can use one plugin.
Whoa.
And one IQ. Okay, so he tells Ricky you can use one
Wow.
EQ and one compressor. And his whole ethos, he was like, turn the rest of the shit off, throw it out. Like
Yeah.
there's too many options.
Wow.
Like, so even on Gave Me a Gun, the vocal stacking and the modulation towards the end with what sounds like it's like this ethereal female vocalist at
That's
the
my
end.
mom.
Was that?
Yeah.
I was actually gonna ask if that was you. I was like, did you just pitch yourself up? I was like, did you pitch yourself up?
I'm really
who's
like that.
Who's that girl?
Yeah. No, it's my mom.
Damn, she killed it.
She did. Yeah.
It's beautiful. Yeah. So what can people expect from you in the future? Like, what's coming up?
I think there's a lot of really cool artists that I'm finding that I'm like, I just really admire their sound or like their tonality or like their production. And then it turns out that they're like also in like a band. And I just think like it's like I've seen that like 3 times in the last month where I'm like, wow, they have like a band too, and they got the solo project, and I just really admire that. And I was talking to my friend the other day, and I was like, maybe we should just like start a band. Like I would love to like
Every band was formed with the exact like it actually doesn't work unless you use the words maybe we should start a band. It doesn't work. It's like a spell. You have to use that exact phrase.
That's so funny. I've never thought about that, but that's so true. I'm a cliche. I'm a walking cliche. What can I say? We just kind of we're talking about it, and I think it's always so like inspiring when people have different outlets that they feel like because it is. I feel like it is like counterproductive, counterintuitive to like have 5 different whatever projects going that you're like promoting this and then you're that and then you're that. But I think it can like I said earlier, it can be empowering.
The Postal Service,
Uh-huh.
a great example of
Yeah.
that, right? Like you have so many sub bands from the same people because they feel like they need to
Yeah.
make different collections. Or I mean, I
Mhm.
can't speak for them, but that's what I've always assumed. It's like you my fans won't resonate with this. I have to make a
A
different
separate
group.
thing.
Yeah.
I understand that. But I think also what's really impressive if it's done in a cohesive way. and it's obvious that they're thinking about the big picture in it. And I think that's always something that I admire when I'm just like, wow, they're really like thinking this through, and I can tell that there's a thing,
Mm-hmm.
there's a cohesive thing here. That's something that I strive to do in the next year, is just really focus in on what it is that I do, not in terms of like a limiting way. Oh, I only make music with the guitar. Like I only make music, but not that. But just like, what is the feeling that I want people to feel when they listen to my music? What kind of experiences do I want? The ideal experiences with my music. Like I would love people to feel creative and free, and I would love to bring like a sense of like, oh, I can do that. I would love people like I would love for people to see a project, or like I'm mixing and mastering this, or I'm painting the album cover, and then I'm like writing and producing it, and I'm like, posting whatever videos of me playing on my guitar, and people feeling like, oh, I could do that. Like I don't want to feel larger than life in that sense. I
Mm-hmm.
want to feel like, of course you can do it. There was a time where I was looking at people and I was like, I cannot wait until I can do that. And now I'm doing those things. And now I'm looking at different people and I'm like, that is really cool too. I really want to take inspiration from that. Or, oh, when I have the resources to do something like on this scale, that would be really impressive. And then someday I'm sure that it'll be that. And then there'll be new people. I think that's kind of what keeps art progressing. And we have new ideas, every year, because people, there's just always that like, oh, I want to create more. I want to create something that's never existed before.
Mm-hmm. Well, I have to pivot to close this out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um, I have no idea where to land this on, because we've talked about so much.
I know, and it's difficult. I feel like I have such a hyper, like we could talk for 8 hours and say
No,
like,
that's what I'm saying. That's why
absolutely.
I wanted to. No, I wanted to have a conversation with you, because I felt from our first phone call that like we could have just talked for a really. I mean, we did talk for a while, but I was like, we could talk for a really long
Yeah.
time. Which I think is partially your personality. Like you're very
Yeah.
like, I don't know if you're outgoing, but you're definitely like personable.
I always like as
you're
a kid,
charismatic. Yeah.
I'd always be like, hey, like I'd always be like talking to strangers at the like grocery store line. Like that's kind of who I am.
Yeah. There's something that I needed to pull out of you. I was like I need to have a conversation with him.
Did you pull it out of me?
I hope so. I don't know. Is there anything like you want to say that I didn't ask you?
I
Your
think
social?
yeah, I was gonna say, I was like, if you want to know anything more about me, that I'm on Instagram, and it'll be no longer Saint Kid, it'll be Kii Kinsella, and I'm excited for the next chapter, and just to keep growing, and keep growing with you guys, and it's been an honor. It's been an absolute honor to be here, doing business with you.